Xenophobic attacks in South Africa simmer down as the nation's president says foreign nationals are and should feel welcome.
A boost in security of Nigeria's waterways as the Navy makes new commitments for coastal lines and the River Niger.
And Malawi invests in industrial hemp. The government says it can boost the economy. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Chamberlain Uso at Channels Television. Welcome to the show, and we will take you around the continent to bring you a variety of news and stories. And I'm joined by my colleague in Washington, Vincent Makori.
Well, thanks, Chamberlain. I'm here in Studio 51 at Voice of America, coming to you from our global headquarters in the U.S. Now, let's go first to some of Nigeria's waterways that are getting some extra attention now. Chamberlain has that story to start us off.
Well, that's right. There's been a boost in the security of Nigeria's waterways with new projects in Anambra State. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Boyete Ibas, has reiterated their commitment to securing Nigeria's coastal lines and the River Niger. Channels Television's correspondent Joy Odenye compiled our report.
The Nigerian Navy has a duty to secure Nigeria's waters through its presence on the waterways and through infrastructure development. That's the reason for the visit of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Boyete Ibas, to Anambra State in the coastal region. His first port of call is the Governor's Lodge. The purpose of the visit is to commission 5 projects at the Onitsha Naval Outpost in Waterway, Ogbaru local government area of the state. The Governor commends the efforts of the Navy, especially in crippling the activities of arms dealers operating on the River Niger. They then moved to the Onitsha Naval Outpost in Ogbaru local government area to commission some of the projects built by the force on its permanent site. For the Chief of Naval Staff, the commissioning of the projects in the Naval Outpost is a success story for both the Navy and the state, as the presence of the Nigerian Navy on the waterways will provide the needed security to boost commercial activities in the state and in Nigeria, adding that the force will also carry out further survey and charting of other riverine areas to enhance water transportation.
The Nigerian Navy is deeply grateful to Your Excellency for your many gestures, which include the provision of the land for this unit, grants to complement the funds for the projects, the provision of the gunboat and patrol vehicles, and the continued payments for rented apartments while the unit awaits its own structures. We will continue to solicit for more as partners in progress.
Pleased by the commitment, the Governor promises to support the efforts of the Navy to rid the waterways of criminals.
We will continue to support the Navy in our little way. We give them some vehicles for patrol about a year ago, and as our resources improve, we'll be able to also assist them further, because they are playing a very critical role in our security arrangements, particularly in this Ogbaru area and the riverine communities in general.
In a show of synergy between both parties, the naval chief supports the governor as he lays the foundation stone for the officers' mess. And other projects commissioned include the administrative block, the armory, officers' accommodation block, commanding officers' institutional house, senior and junior rate and accommodation blocks, among others.
You're watching Africa 54. I'm Chamberlain Uso. While the industrial sector in parts of Africa is still developing, technology appears to be jumping ahead, as entrepreneurs can often leapfrog over old technologies on their way to new ones. Let's talk more about harnessing science and technology in Africa. Professor Emmanuel Nnadozie is Executive Secretary at the African Capacity Building Foundation based in Harare, Zimbabwe. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. Welcome to the program, Professor. Now, science, technology, and innovation development is a major catalyst for sustained economic growth. We know many African countries have some of these policies and strategies. Do you think that we've got sufficient capacity implementing these policies?
Unfortunately, we do not have sufficient capacity to implement the policies. But first of all, there's really a big gap between the capacity needed in the area of technical skills, science, technology, mathematics, and engineering, we need to put in some considerable effort to be able to really address this issue in terms of the numbers of the people with the technical skills, in terms of the quality of the education that they will receive, and paying particular attention to vocational education, but at the same time ensuring that when we build this capacity, we can retain it in the country or in the continent and fully utilize it.
Now, ICT infrastructure and training rank high among imperatives for STI development. What recommendations does the ACBF proffer to African governments?
Yes, we have given a lot of considerable thought to the sort of policies that have to be put in place, or investments, in general in the infrastructure area, but the ICT infrastructure in particular. Because many countries do have the policies that are necessary, and they have ICT strategies. But to make this happen and to implement them, there will be a need to really make some considerable investments, whether it's in the area of fiber optics, in the area of the infrastructure that's needed to propel the information and technology and communication technology. But we believe that an approach that can be very useful would be to look at this from a regional perspective, because if there's investments made in this area, this can actually benefit a number of countries within the sub-region, but at the same time to bring in the private sector and foreign investors in a public-private partnership that can help, first of all, to develop the projects that are bankable and that can attract the kinds of heavy investment that are required to make these things happen.
What kind of challenges do you think that we should be focusing on overcoming?
Yes, I think the most significant challenge is to pay attention to what I call the critical technical skills, because the transformation agenda of any country or even of the continent, which is articulated in the Agenda 2063, cannot happen if we don't have the capacity to implement all the projects and strategies that we have put in place. Africa suffers greatly from the shortage of the critical technical skills that can bring about economic transformation and industrialization. And so we have to bring together the institutions of higher learning, the government and the private sector to really ensure that our educational institutions are educating young people to solve Africa's problem. So the second thing is to pay attention to the key institutions that are necessary, for the policies to be implemented, whether it's in the government or they're in the other sectors as well, and strengthen them or create them where they are not existing, so that they can actually play the role of monitoring and evaluating and holding accountable those who are in charge of making policies and those who are required to take action to achieve the development goals of the countries.
Professor Imalo Nadozie, Executive Secretary at the African Capacity Building Foundation. Thank you for joining us today on Africa 54.
And we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, Ethiopia's state airline carrier is flying into most friendly financial skies. We'll talk about their fortunes after the break. Stay with us.